Hello, my name is Coy Harris, and I'm here once again delivering an informative speech for my Module 3 assignment, An Introduction to Communication. This is my audience. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this speech is about gun violence. Tiana Major was a 9-year-old girl who loved gymnastics. According to an article published by CNN journalist Laura Mascarenhas in 2023, her life was fatally cut short by a random stranger on a shooting spree in Orange County, Florida. The stranger had walked into Tiana's home and shot her and her mother. Her mother survived. Tiana did not. 16-year-old Claudia Clotet had a bright future ahead of her. CNN journalist Aya Elamouralzi stated in 2023 that at just 14 years old, she had already began her own hair business, and she had her eyes set on attending Harvard University. The article went on further to explain that on May 10, 2023, she was shot while sitting in the back seat of a car in the Queens neighborhood of St. Albans, New York. She died in the hospital a day later. These are only two of the many victims listed under CNN's website, Americans' Youngest Victims in 2023. Yearly, Americans are impacted by various forms of gun violence. The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health published an article informing the public that in 2021, nearly 49,000 Americans were killed by gun violence. And this is a little over 6,000 of the Americans that were killed in car accidents. If this information isn't shocking enough, the article went on further to state that in 2020, firearm deaths accounted for 1,131,105 years of potential life lost before the age of 65. This is more than diabetes, stroke, and liver disease combined. With this being said, gun violence has become a major crisis in the United States, and urgent, comprehensive policy interventions must be implemented to address its devastating impact on communities before it's too late. We will cover 3 main points: what causes gun violence to occur, what types of gun violence are there, and how to prevent and prevent gun violence. We have now discussed 2 tragic real-life incidents caused by gun violence and highlighted the significance of this violence using statistics from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Now let us delve into our first focus: understanding the root causes of gun violence. Before we can even begin to discuss what causes gun violence, it is important to acknowledge that, according to Amnesty International, more than 1 billion firearms are in global circulation. These firearms are being distributed to individuals, military, and law enforcement. This is crucial information because understanding how easy it is to access guns in America clarifies why gun violence has become such a prominent issue. Moving on, Emmeline Sukan Herbity, a free lane rider in Portland, wrote in 2023 that gun violence can be caused by the following: income inequality, which is lower income between households of individuals, poverty, home instability, poor education, and more. She also stated that gentrification, which is when wealthy individuals move to poorer areas, resulted in a 62% higher injury rate than non-gentrified areas. Countries with highest poverty levels experience a greater increase in firearm homicides compared to those with lower levels, and factors such as scarce job opportunities, poor health, and long-term issues stemming from inadequate education can contribute to an environment where gun violence is more likely. We have now pinpointed key factors that cause gun violence. These factors allow a smooth transition to properly understand methods of gun violence. Now we will explore specific methods by which gun violence manifests. Americans are impacted by various forms of gun violence, including suicide, domestic violence, unintentional deaths, and more. The Centers for Gun Violence Solutions published statistics emphasizing that nearly 25,000 firearm suicides happen annually. In addition to this, there are 4.5 million women threatened with guns in America. And out of those 4.5 million women, 1 million of them die. Following this, over 250 annual deaths are caused unintentionally, with an average of 1 death every 17 hours. Furthermore, the article then goes on to explain that yearly there are an estimated 600 mass shootings, resulting in more than 500 annual deaths and 2,000 injuries, while American firearm homicide rates in the United States are 25.2 times higher than any other country. Many people only grasp the severity of gun violence in America when it hits close to home or directly affects them. This is why it's extremely important for teens, adults, and young adults to prioritize awareness now to better protect themselves and younger generations against gun violence before it's too late. We have now emphasized the heartbreaking reality of various forms of gun violence. The Center for Gun Violence Solutions help portray a link between gun violence and negative outcomes such as suicide, homicide, domestic violence, and more. All of which lay the foundation for our final point: how to prepare and protect yourself and your loved ones against gun violence. Hopefully by now, I've gained your attention. If I have not, it is extremely important to pay attention to the prevention strategies Tiffany Gardner shared in an article published in 2023. To keep you and your family safe from gun violence, you first need to know about the impact gun violence has on the nation. Fortunately for you all, I've already explained it. It is also equally important to prioritize violence-based intervention strategies that effectively combat gun violence. Organizations such as Street Outreach, Group Violence Intervention, GVI, and Hospital-Based Intervention Violence, HBVIIP, provide valuable insights in this regard. Lastly, it is extremely crucial to prevent children from accessing guns by keeping them stored away in a safe place. Supporting research and prevention programs like the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act of 2022, which allocates $250 million for community violence prevention, can help as well. Finally, we have addressed all 3 key objectives. Point 3, paving the way to creating a safe and supportive environment to stop gun violence in its tracks. This initiative aims to ensure that you and your family have proper knowledge and empowerment to protect yourselves against potential negative consequences due to gun violence. Now it is time for a recap and conclusion. I make the claim that the rising crisis of gun violence in the U.S. demands immediate and comprehensive policy interventions to eliminate its destructive effects on communities. Gun violence in the U.S. is strengthened by the easy access to over 1 billion firearms globally. In addition to this, contributions to gun violence include income inequality, poverty, home instability, poor education, and gentrification. Gun violence can occur in many forms such as domestic violence, suicide, unintentional shootings, mass shootings, and more. This often results in multiple fatalities and injuries a year. Fortunately, there are intervention organizations like Street Outreach and Group Violence. These all aid in prevention strategies for keeping firearms away from children, and funding research through programs like the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act can help as well. Understanding the impact and addressing these factors is crucial for protecting communities. If we all unite and apply this knowledge along with effective prevention and intervention strategies, we can give the next generation of Americans a chance to live in a safe and more peaceful world. Thank you.